Get a job in tech, episode 135. How is everybody doing today? Hopefully, everybody's doing well. This podcast, of course, is about getting a job in tech. If you're kind of new to everything, note that now I'm just talking about the US, right? So, the typically local, depends on where you live, but the amount of money per hour minimum is $15 an hour now. That's usually what it is. I know before I've said in the past where people make 9 to 12 an hour. Now the minimum is 15 because they're just having a hard time getting people to fill in those jobs. So I would like to talk about a little bit about like your side hustle, your second job. Okay. Say you work at your job right now, maybe you're working in tech right now, like let's say, right? And you want to get another job in, let's say you want to get a job, I don't know, in Amazon, 22 an hour or something like that is what they start off at. And that's the people that do the packing where they take the boxes and they scan it and they put it in the bin or whatever. And then from there it goes to its destination. Okay, I've actually worked in that location before. I've worked in those jobs before. So it's pretty interesting, right? Usually they work like 4 or 5 hours a night, and it's usually like in a 4-day span. So it's like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, something like that. And the other jobs out there, well, if you're a person in tech, okay, I would say lower your resume a bit. You know, put in there, how do I say this? So make your resume not too much tech, actually. The reason I say that, I've had experience with this before. So I applied at a job in Home Depot. I applied a job at a bunch of places, but Home Depot comes to mind. So I'm in the interview and they ask me about my skill set and I'm talking and all this stuff, right? And everything. And then it comes down to they look at my resume and they see computer, see what I do. And they say, obviously, you know computers. Believe it or not, people are intimidated by IT. I know you don't think that's true, right? People out there in IT, but they are. They're actually intimidated by tech or IT. So when they see somebody who comes in, they're like, "Why would they want to work here?" Mind you, this is a person working at Home Depot, or it can be any place really, and their whole life they've been working their job. They're not IT, obviously, but let's put it there. They're not IT, and you could tell usually if they're IT or not. But they're not IT, and they have no want to get into IT. They probably started off as like a salesperson and working the floor. Maybe they worked in a other job before. Usually it's all what do you call it? It's all customer based service, like the service industry. Usually that's what they do, and then they work their way up until they're like the hiring manager or whatever in one of these companies. So they don't understand the IT, and most likely they have a phone. Of course, who doesn't have a phone? But they don't go home and they don't spend hours and hours and hours on a computer. Okay, it works, it's done. And these people are younger than you. These can be 20-year-old people right now. Seriously, really. They can be 25-year-old people. You're like, why? How come 25-year-old people are not IT? They're not. It's just a different mindset. It's how they were raised. It's who influenced them, whatever. A lot of different factors, right? Obviously, but it's all about maybe it's peer pressure. That don't want to be touted as like, oh, nerd or whatever because of IT. There's a lot of different things, by the way, that go into that. Okay, having said all that stuff, like Gary, why are you telling me this stuff? What's the point here, right? The point is, if you're IT and you go in there, kind of, what do I say here? Kind of dumb down your resume a bit, okay? I'm just saying it. Dumb down your resume a bit so that it doesn't look like you're too much, too too much smart, right? If you will, because really the perception is if you're IT, you're smart. Perception is your IT, you're you're going to change things there. They want somebody to come in and just listen to what they have to say. Sorry, they want somebody to come in and just okay, do the action. Okay, I tell you to do this, do this. Okay, take this product. Like what I applied for was taking off. taking off products from a semi-trailer and then putting in this long ramp and then putting in the floor, which I was fine. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm happy to do that. I'm not trying to change anything. I'm not trying to make your process different. Hey, job is take products off trailer, put it on a little it's like a conveyor thing, like it's an expandable conveyor, and then put it wherever. Take it on the pallet jack if it needs to be, and then put it wherever it needs to go. Maybe location, done. That's all you need to do. Okay, fine. I'm okay with that. And that's it. And nothing more. So how do you convey that? I don't know because I didn't do it. Quite honestly, I didn't do it accurate enough, I think. But if I would have maybe put on my resume something like other skill set, obviously I've done other things in this field, but if I would put that, highlighted that more, maybe that's would have been the key. Or maybe just like a blank resume of like, say, for the past 5 years of just kind of hanging around or whatever. And, I could have put my job, most recent job, or the job before, I should say, on there about Amazon, where I worked as a fulfillment center, where I just took and, put the boxes or whatever in there and put it, scan the boxes, put it in the bin. And that would have been the best idea actually to do that. And that's kind of the reason, why I got one of the Amazon job was so I don't have to really talk about the job I have now. And I just can say, okay, I have this Amazon job where I'm a worker bee, basically. I'm working in a packing place where you take the boxes and you scan them and you put it in a bin. Done. That's low level, repetitive task. Okay, done. And then the next skill set, let's say, because I'll tell you something about IT, right? When you reach a certain level in IT and you have a certain skill set, and you kind of sometimes you have to reinvent yourself a little bit because they look at your skill set and okay, you have let's say you have 10 years experience, right? Like me, you have 10 years experience in IT. Okay. Sometimes they like, oh, well, I can't. Their perception is even in IT, like IT people trying to hire IT people. Oh, I can't teach this person. I can't change their mindset or whatever, or they don't have a malleable skill set. And so, sometimes there's really, you don't know, right? Sometimes that's how it works for whatever reason. We don't know. It's most of the time, really, it's the hiring manager. You got to get past the hiring manager or whoever does the hiring first before you even get to the interview, because the interview person may love you. The what do you call it? The technical, director of technology or the IT manager, they may love you. They may want to hire you, right? But if you can't get past the hiring manager, forget about it. And obviously there's bias, right? Who doesn't know there's bias, right? Who doesn't know there's bias? So this person who is a hiring manager, maybe they see 100 resumes or whatever, right? And they had a bad experience with somebody, and it was like your skill set. So the bad experience they had was someone who had 11 years experience or whatever, right? And they had a good experience with somebody who's 3 years, because the person with 11 years experience, maybe they talked too much, or they spoke their mind a little more than they needed to, or they wanted more money, or whatever, right? Some of these hiring managers think it's their job, right, to get the cheapest possible person, right, because they're saving the company money. Listen, hiring manager, it's not your job to do this, okay? Just let you know that your job, hiring manager, is to hire the person, okay? Perfect for the job, to fulfill the job, to help the IT manager out. That's it. The money's already been allocated from the corporate, from the finance department. They've already allocated 3 months' salary. Okay, don't be the person blocking the hiring person, from getting an interview. I know you have some metrics or whatever. Like, for instance, the metrics I always like to hear, or I always hear about, is must have 4-year degree, right? Bachelor's degree for. I saw something the other day, right? It was a bachelor's degree. Bachelor's degree equivalent for some job. It was making like $15 an hour. I forget what it was, but it was IT related, and I was like, I think it was help desk, right? $15 an hour, and it was like a bachelor's degree required or whatever. And I was thinking to myself, like, you people you're out of touch with reality. You are so out of touch with reality. Who wrote this job description, if I may ask? Come on, that's ridiculous. Because they haven't understood, the value of degrees don't matter anymore when it comes to IT. Now I know, of course, they matter with other job fields, right? But with IT, they don't matter. Nobody. It may matter, right? In some obscure job in IT, for instance, like maybe the corporate people, they need one or whatever to punch the ticket or something. But your help desk people, your sysadmin people, they don't need a degree to get that job. No, not at all. 0, 0, 0. You don't need that degree. I would even submit to you, I think I've talked in the past where I know a company, they had, they work for the government, right? And they had, let's see, 30 people who they had a CCNA, which is Cisco Certified Network. It's a network admin cert, Cisco CCNA. And they let those people go. They let 30 people go. They're like, okay, get out. Why did they do that? They had a government contract, or they worked for the government. They supplied services to the government, augmented people, staff, whatever. And the government said, hey, you need to have this Security Plus, SE, or CE, sorry. And they didn't have those, they didn't have that. And they told their people, hey, listen, we're going to give you 6 months. And they did. They gave them 6 months to get the cert. And the people like, yeah, him, whatever, right? And they didn't get it. Well, guess what? Those people got let go. They no longer work there anymore. And what they do, they hired people who had that Security Plus, CE, because the government said their employer said, hey, we pay you money, company A or whatever. We need these people with this cert. Get it done. Okay, moving out. They got it done. Government jobs, say overseas government jobs. I know I talk a little bit about that. Overseas government jobs are paying less now. Just FYI on that one. They're paying, so last year they were paying 60. Now they're paying like 50, 53, 54 a year, roughly. I mean, on average. Of course, you have a high paying one, right? And they're becoming harder to get, actually, and more competition. So, yeah. So what do you do, right? What do? You work for, obviously, if you're not IT, and this is probably the reason you're listening to this podcast to begin with, if you're not IT, how do you navigate this thing called getting a job in tech? And it's this year, and how do you say, okay, it's 2021, and you're like, how in the world do I get a job in tech right now? Because I don't know. There's lots of jobs out there, right? By the way, I think there might be more jobs in the services sector than there is IT. Of course, there's jobs in IT, right? But I think the services sector are the ones that are needed the most. So I would say to you, go out there and apply. You're working in the service sector, and you have, what would be the plan of action if I were in the services sector today wanting to get a job in tech? That's a difficult one, but I would tell you, first I'd go and listen to people that do it, and then I'd start applying. So for instance, I'd start step one. Go on the internet, Google resume. How do I write a resume? Done. And I'll tell you how. Name top. So you got your name, you got your phone number, and you got your email. That's it. Nothing else. No address, nothing. And then right below the objective, to obtain gainful employment in the information technology field. Done. That's it. That's your objective. Summary of skills, right? Summary of skill set. Summary of skill set is something like customer service. Let's see, how many years of experience you have in customer service. So say like 1 year customer service experience. Next line, highly motivated. That's just a filler word, right? They can always say it, right? Third line, that's pretty much it. I'd say that, right? Oh, next one. Sorry. Willingness to learn. I'd put that. And that's it. Those three. Next one, put your job's experience. So, for instance, let's say you work at a gas station. Let's just say you put the gas station name, the gas station name, then it would be something like your start date, whatever, or your date. Let's say whatever you start work there a year ago. So you see 2020 to present, right? Date. So let's say you started in July 2020. You put July 2020 dash present. That's it. And then you put down there underneath, what do you do daily? You work the cashier, you work the register, you do daily audits, cash audits, right? Feeding, maybe, at the end of the day, maybe you take and you do a printout of the audits, the transaction audits. Maybe you do that. You don't necessarily do it yourself, but maybe you print it out. So you put like transaction audits, daily transaction audits, just print it, maybe something like assist the store manager with tasks, clean up and mop the surrounding areas, the common areas. You could put that. Why not? And then put down like something like customer service related, like assist customers with sale of products, whatever. Not whatever, but customer with the products. And if you need help with this, YouTube a resume and your job, whatever your job is, YouTube or Google, right? My job is X. You're sales associate at a gas station. Okay, put that down. Google that, and then put those little words in there, whatever they tell you to do that. This is copy and paste. You're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. You're not. You're really not. Whatever works best. Somebody else has done it. Don't do a lot of work on this. Just, okay, copy and paste, done. Put it there. And this is not a finished product, of course. This is a one-time thing. So you do and you find out, okay, what works. You get the resume, bam, you got it. Okay, put it in. Start applying. Put it on Indeed, actually, Indeed or Dice, right? And then the other thing is this, right below that, or maybe right above it, right? Qualifications. You want to go to Udemy. udemy.com. And you want to enroll in anything that's related to the IT. So for instance, you might put like Udemy course, or you go say systems administrator course. I think there's one on Udemy, systems administrator. Let me actually Google real quick, I'll tell you. Okay, so I went to udemy.com, udemy.com, and I just put in the category, I said search, and it said IT space help space desk. In there I have a couple of different ones. So I'd put this, you want to buy this course, of course. They're like $16. There's one that's $12. There's another that's $12. So you have IT help desk professional. I would buy that one and then do it. So actually do the course, right? And then you have learn IT help desk for beginners. Buy both of those. They're like what, $16, $20, $12, so it's about $30 roughly. Buy both of those courses and complete them. So the IT help desk professional, that one is 1.5 hours, and the learn IT help desk for beginners, that's 4.5 hours. And I would do both of those. Just watch them. If you don't regurgitate the knowledge, is fine. So do those courses, and then put in a resume, and start applying. Those are keywords right there. And then when you go on your first interview, have a notebook, have a piece of paper, say, okay, keep track of who you email, or who have you got an interview with, if you even get an interview. Hopefully you do. If you don't get an interview, nobody even talks to you or whatever, right? But then maybe something's wrong with your resume. Okay, go back to the drawing board. Maybe take out a couple of things. And you put a couple of keywords in, like at the very bottom, put like keyword space help desk, space help desk, or comma IT help desk. So keyword space IT help desk. Next line system administrator. Next line help desk. Next line IT help desk. Anything where that keyword generator, the keyword search, there's a program or whatever, right, that these companies use, and they say, okay, I see you have this keyword or whatever. Okay, look at your Look at your resume now. Done. And they pull it out and they look up. Okay. When you get the interview, when you go on the interview, right? So record it. Record it. The reason you record it is you want to like understand like, what do I do here? What do I know? What do I not know? Okay. And that way you can play it back and say, okay, this went well, this went well. You can understand if you're nervous in the interview. Of course you're going to be nervous, right? You can understand what they're looking for, what type of skill set they need. And also they're going to give you little keywords too. Maybe you want to, if you know you're not going to get the job, and you can pretty much tell this at the end during the interview, say like, what skill set are you looking for? If I had this skill set, you would hire me. What is that skill set? That's what you're going to ask them. What skill set do I need in order to get this position? Done. That's it. That's it. That's all you ask her, or him or her, whoever it is. And then they'll say, okay, oh, this is what I need, right? And then you take that and then look at this. Go to Google that, whatever that skill set is they tell you. Active Directory is always default to. And then YouTube, and then find out what that is. Oh, okay, YouTube, Google, YouTube it. Go to Udemy again. Reference that. There's a course on it. I'm sure there's a course on it. There's a video on it. I'm sure there is. Learn about a little bit more. So what you're saying is you're after 1 month, the likelihood is you're going to get a job. Why? Because you're going to build a skill set. You're going to build that skill set, and it's going to become more evident to you like, oh, okay, that's what they're looking for. Yeah, okay, awesome. I know that. I know this. I know what they need now. That's really it right there. The other thing I would say on a different standpoint, this is not kind of related to this, but if you have the ability to buy, this is not financial advice, of course, but there's really a market out there for cryptocurrency, okay? And if you have the ability to buy a small amount of crypto, buy it, because you just never know if it's going to go up. So you just never know if it's going to go up to whatever. Bitcoin, 2010 it started, and now it's $60,000, almost $60,000 for one Bitcoin. Just imagine a time machine going back in time and buying like 10,000 Bitcoin and holding it for this long. You'd be very wealthy, right? And really that's the whole point here, right? As you know, is get a job in tech. Really, it's about wealth, and it's about freedom. Yeah, it's about freedom. Yeah. I know there's some people out there, I don't want to be rich. Okay, fine. Don't be rich. Not a big deal. We'll be wealthy. Okay? There's a difference. Rich and wealthy. Wealthy is like, hey, I don't have to work if I don't want to. And the reason that people say that, right? The reason that people say like they don't want to be rich or right, whatever, that's a lot of their training, their childhood training, their relatives training, whatever, is coming out. And they've maybe just been so like, oh, okay, I can't, they feel that they can't ever do it, so they don't even talk about it. Maybe they don't allow themselves to experience that, or to even fantasize about, would it be nice to make that much money? That'd be really cool, right? Oh, cool. So that's another thing, a little sidebar there to get a job in tech. And, obviously, that's the whole point, right? I think I mentioned that. That's the whole point of this whole deal, is to get money, income, to where you don't have to work if you don't want to. Really, that's the whole point here. It's kind of like a financial freedom thing, really. If you don't have, if you want to work, yes, but you don't have. If you don't want to have to work, then do these type of things. It doesn't have to be crypto. I always say IT, because really in my view, that's the easiest way. Because you don't have to go to a 4-year degree. You don't have to go to college for X amount of years for it. You don't have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for a course or whatever. You don't have to be mentored for 5 years to get into this job field. You can do it within a month, and you can get a job done. You can go from, now it's $15 an hour, right, to $100,000 a year in 1 year with IT. I've seen it how many times done. It's very, very doable. You just have to want to do it and make it happen, Captain. Okay, thank you for listening to this podcast. Have a great day.